Okay, this is part 2 of that Carly Russell video. Candace Owens is going to be talking about trans operations and the lifelong problems that can come from it.
All right, guys, so for today's topic du jour, we're going to be talking about a surgeon out in Portland who performs sex change operations on children. Now, of course, because of this.
Fuck you, leave kids alone. Kids should not be having these operations. You want the operation? Wait until you're of age. I don't care what you go through feeling like you're in the wrong body or whatever. Kids should not have the right to mutilate their own bodies. When they're of age, let them do it and let them pay for it themselves. Let them pay for the health care for it as time goes on and whatever medications they need. This is an elective surgery. Hey, if women got to pay for abortions, let everybody pay for these operations too.
This content, we probably can't talk about it here, so you can head over to Twitter, where we are now dropping full episodes, or of course, you can head over to dailywire.com. Have you ever heard of data brokers? They're the middlemen who are collecting and selling all of the digital footprints that you leave online. They can stitch together detailed profiles of you, which include your browsing history, online searches, and location data. To mask my digital footprints, I use ExpressVPN. One of the easiest ways for brokers to collect data and tie it back to you is through your device's unique IP address, which also reveals information about your location. When you're connected to ExpressVPN, your IP address becomes hidden. That makes it much more difficult for data brokers to identify who you are. ExpressVPN also encrypts 100% of network traffic to keep your data safe from hackers on public Wi-Fi. That's why I have the ExpressVPN app downloaded on all of my devices, my phone, computer, and even my home Wi-Fi router. All I have to do is tap one button to turn it on, and then I'm protected. It really is that easy. So protect your data today at expressvpn.com/Candace. That's expressvpn.com/Candace to get 3 months free. Visit expressvpn.com/Candace to learn more. All right, guys, now it's time to get into some of your comments. Obviously, last week when I was in France, I had a really long discussion regarding homosexuality with Brandon Tatum. I was very pleased to have a discussion because, as I've realized just throughout my career, and as I said when I was talking to Brandon, is I have definitely become more conservative on the gay issues as time has gone by. And that is just because I am seeing some things I just thought, oh, it's about love is love. I kind of believed all of that. Obviously, I used to be left-leaning, and now I am seeing what has happened in this society since we said okay to gay marriage, and the fact that we're even talking about experimenting on children and the individuals that are behind backing this. Anyways, the first comment comes from Adriando S. YouTube. He writes, I love watching heterosexuals trying to explain our identity as if we cannot speak for ourselves. Being gay is more than just having sex or thinking about sex. There's a lot of gay males that actually do love each other. It seems like you're trying to make it more perverted because it's no other way for you to explain it. Even if I was paralyzed from the waist down, I'd still be with a man. It's very weird how anal sex is the first thing that comes to homophobic people's minds, as if there is absolutely nothing else keeping two people there. I appreciate your sentiment, but no, that was not the discussion that we had. What I have actually said to you is that when I'm in discussions with my gay friends, it's unbelievable to hear how often they talk about sex. It's just the truth. And then we talked about the reality, which is that two men can have sex constantly every single day, and there are no barriers, no natural born barriers that are preventing that. A woman being, just having a baby, a woman menstruating, these things that prevent your relationship from being centered around sex, which are built into natural order. And gay men don't have that. We talked about the gay pride parades. We talked about why gay pride has become almost synonymous with sexuality, why there are people that are now walking.
Because the gay pride parades, you should not have kids at. No.
In dog chains. How has that become the symbol of pride? If I said, let's have a heterosexual pride parade, people would probably show up with their families and their kids. No one's going to say, let's wear leather and whips and chains and get on all fours and walk like dogs and call it pup play. You know that's true. You're listening to this and you know that that is true. That if I said, let's have a heterosexual pride parade, nobody would be simulating sex acts. Why is that? Ask yourself a very tough question about your own community. It's hard to do that, by the way. I do it every single day. When I'm assessing what's gone wrong in the Black community, right? When I talk about criminality, I talk about the culture of Black culture. I'm willing to do that. You know, it takes a lot to become introspective and to be able to assess what has gone wrong with an attribute that you have. You say you're a homosexual, well, be an honest homosexual about what your community is bringing forth into this culture. Next comment. Alaya Awakened writes, thank you both for speaking on this. I'm a bisexual woman and I was repeatedly sexually abused by a female friend when I was 6 years old. Yes, it's possible for a girl to abuse another girl. Yes, it's possible for a 6-year-old girl to be cruel and domineering and violent and to enact perversity. God knows what happened to her to make her that way at such a young age and for it to be deeply traumatizing. My first sexual experiences were with a girl and they were non-consensual. I believe this is the reason behind my bisexuality and the reason that I attracted a lot of sexual abuse in my life. The latter wasn't my fault, but my neural pathways were literally programmed for it. I've worked hard these last 14 years to break that programming, not because I believe there's something wrong with love or freedom of choice, but I don't want to live with perversity. And as I heal, I notice that I'm dropping the masculine shield that I had built and start to long deeply to be the feminine woman I'm in a relationship with a masculine man. The feminine woman that I am in a relationship with a masculine man. Yeah, there were a lot of these comments of people that were homosexual and that were coming out and saying in the comments that, yes, I was abused when I was a child. And I do believe that that first sexual experience that you have is very important, that it does establish neural pathways. And that is why there are so many, as we've talked about with me and Brandon, gays and lesbian people that were abused sexually in their childhood by someone of the same sex. And that if that's your first sexual experience, that becomes, again, that neural pathway being established of this is what it means to be aroused. I'm happy that we have had the courage to have that discussion on the show and that so many gay people and lesbian people felt compelled to comment and to say, actually, I am one of those people in those statistics, because those people are silenced because there's this idea, but it's like, no, you were just born. Every single gay and lesbian person was born this way. No, some of it is trauma. Some of it is a social contagion and perhaps a very minute, as the individual I spoke about on the show.
I know someone I have to say, yeah, they're born like this, just so this person won't start talking to me like I don't know what I'm talking about. And I have said this to this person before.
The show suggested very, very, very small, minute group of people are born homosexual in the same way that a very small, minute group of people are born with gender dysphoria. But the majority of it actually has been nurtured. Again, that was his suggestion, not mine, but these comments all but verify it. The next comment comes from Sebastian Targaryen, the first. He writes, I was molested by my stepbrother when I was 10 years old. Sometimes I wonder if that is the reason that I'm gay. When Mr. Tatum mentioned the lust, it resonated with me. I very well could be confused. Perhaps I was not born gay. If so, how do I begin to heal? How do I begin to go down the right path? Where would I even start? I think about this every day. Thank you, Candace. P.S. I also bring this up because recently I believe I've been having natural urges to have a child. If that's what I want to be a man someone is able to look up to. Sebastian, obviously, I don't have a suggestion for you with how to deal with that, because when you're talking about dealing with sexual abuse when you're younger, there, first and foremost, is a lot of therapy that needs to happen, and there's a lot of healing that needs to happen on a spiritual level. And when you say that immediately, what happens is they say, you're recommending gay conversion therapy. No, we're recommending that anytime you deal with any sort of a trauma, if I was a woman and I was raped by a man, maybe I would never want to sleep with a man ever again, right? I would say just all men make me uncomfortable because I endured this horrific.
Exactly. I've talked about this in other videos. A woman who was bisexual called me up and didn't like the idea of what I was saying about the LGBTQ community. This person was sexually abused at a young age. Which is why I say she is the way she is. She is crazy. She is insane. But would she be like this if that stuff didn't happen to her? Maybe this is why she's bisexual as well, and she keeps saying she prefers women over men. I don't know who did it to her, male or female. But 9 to 14, 5 years, that's a lot. She would be a completely different person if that didn't happen. The same thing with a lot of other people who've been abused. It makes you think. I thought this was about the gender operations and whatever. It's not. It's just Twitter comments and whatever. But it is a good discussion to have.
Great. And then I'd say I feel comfortable with women because, women are not going to do that sort of a thing to me. That would make me not a homosexual by birth, but a homosexual because of an experience that I had, a choice of being homosexual. But again, because we aren't allowed to have those discussions, people immediately castigate you if you start saying that maybe you can go to therapy and deal with those deep-seated traumas from your childhood. All of us are shaped by our childhood.
Exactly. I told this woman she needed to go get help. She twisted it and said I was trying to take her apartment away from her. I was trying to make her lose her apartment. No. She needs, even now, to go talk to someone. For even a fraction of the stuff she's been through, she should be talking to someone just for herself. A professional. But if these comments are actually the norm, then there are very, very few gay and lesbians out there. This stuff was brought on by trauma. And they put the trauma on other people. They put it on themselves. These comments are very telling.
Our childhood. Everybody has childhood trauma. I have childhood trauma, and it's weird that some people who have childhood trauma are being told not to explore it because the result of their childhood trauma might be that, oh yeah, okay, that's actually what kind of made you gay and desire other men or desire.
There you go. It's being silenced and it's saying being gay is this wonderful thing. I have a friend who has a friend who's gay, and that guy said, I wouldn't wish this on anyone. I don't know if he was sexually abused or not. There was a guy who used to call into Tommy Sotomayor's show, and he said if he had the choice, he wouldn't choose to be gay. So this whole thing, it's about loving who you want and this and that. It may be true for some, but not all. And she's 100% right. You're not allowed to talk about it. Because if you're truly not that, it's because of a trauma. It breaks up the narrative of the LGBTQ community, and it's not all of them. But it could be a great number of them.
Desire other women. Magdalena writes, hi, Candace. As always, I love this episode. Normally, I just hit the like button, but this time I decided to leave a comment as well. Even though I agree with some points made for Catholicism, I couldn't help but think about many Catholic priests that have been accused of gay pedophilia, something that never happened within the Protestant church, I believe. Any comment on this? It absolutely has happened within the Protestant church. Is the first comment.
I think it happens everywhere. I don't think it's a Catholic thing. I don't think it's a Protestant thing. I don't think it's a Muslim thing. I don't think it's a Baptist thing. Or a Buddhism thing, a Judaism thing. I don't think it's limited to just religions. I don't think it's limited to just your sexual gender. I don't think it's limited to what you are, black, white, whatever. I don't think it's limited to your nationalities. I think it's all over. That's why there are videos out there where pedophiles want to take the criminality away from pedophilia. Now, we've seen Hollywood and the music industry loaded with pedophilia. Why is Corey Feldman as messed up as he is? Because something was done to him. Corey Haim, something was done to him. Terry Crews, something was done to him. Brendan Fraser, something was done to him. All the women where Harvey Weinstein was concerned. It's going on there. You don't think it's happening with kids? They're not grooming kids? What about Epstein and his island? And that Ghislaine Maxwell? There's no limit to this. It's not just one section of the population. It can happen anywhere.
I'm going to make. The problem is that there's so many Protestant churches that no one ever registers pedophilia as a problem because they're like, oh, it just happened in this section of Protestantism or this section, whereas the Catholic Church is so big and domineering. And obviously, it's, the Catholic Church, the first church that people talk about it, and it's been associated with it. Not justification whatsoever. But the more important part of what you're saying is that gay pedophilia happened in the Catholic Church. So is the problem the Catholic Church, or is it the problem gay men that are in the Catholic Church that shouldn't be in the church? Because if you're a gay man, you shouldn't be a priest at all, right? And it is gay men that are abusing children. So whether you're a gay...
Yeah, you see, that's not true. There are women who abuse children. So,
man abusing children at a school or a gay man abusing children at a Catholic church, the issue is that we have homosexual men that have invaded institutions. It's not because of, the education system. If there was a pedophilia scandal at schools, and there have been them, you don't then say, oh, education is wrong. Like when we had the Penn State issue, I can't think of the guy's name, Sandusky, I think it was. No one said, oh, the fault is the institution of education that allowed this to happen. No, you wouldn't say that. The problem is that a gay man got into a position of power and abused men, but people don't think that same way when it's the Catholic Church.
What about John Wayne Gacy? I don't know if he was Catholic or whatnot, but all the stuff he did, and everybody thought he was wonderful. He was a clown at children's parties. He loved children. Pamela Smart was a well-liked and well-respected teacher. Look what she did. Mary Kay Letourneau. It's not limited.
The final comment, Madison writes, this was so eye-opening. Thank you both. As a Black man who identifies as gay, this was an amazing, informative discussion. Thank you both again. I just loved reading all these comments from gay people and lesbian people that were just happy that someone was willing to have the discussion and not to make it seem like every gay person was born this way or every gay person agrees with this. Because the truth is that everybody has different experiences that leads them to where they are in life. And if we don't have the courage to talk about these things for fear of being called homophobic or for fear of being called...
Yeah, but most will call you that. It's like talking about racism. You say one thing somebody doesn't like, you are definitely racist. Even though it really is your actions that count. No. Everybody has to be a victim.
Called somebody who's promoting gay conversion therapy or whatever it is, then we don't get to ever potentially fix issues, and sometimes encourage.
And it wouldn't be gay conversion therapy. It would be dealing with the trauma, something that was done to them. But I also think they don't want this to stop because they want more variety, more of a selection. So the more this happens, the more gay people there's more of a selection. It sounds stupid, but I think that's true.
Encouraging people to go further into perversion, as one of the commenters said, is not a solution. We need to acknowledge, that this society is starting with issues and then creating factors of social contagion. And you see that the most in the LGBTQ, too many letters for me to remember, community. Living a healthy lifestyle can be challenging when you're all.
And there you go. And I know I'm going to get backlash for this and the other videos I've done. Fuck everyone. I will talk about what I want. I will do videos on what I want. Just like everyone else does.